A group of people arrives in the westernmost part of the Canary Islands, La Palma, for a vacation. Then a woman jumps into the water for a swim, but suddenly she becomes unconscious and goes under the boat. Her friend tries to warn the captain to stop the boat, but suddenly the water around them starts to boil. After that, the glass under the boat breaks, and a huge burst of steam blows through the water, killing the passengers. Later, after a few weeks, a family of 4 arrives in La Palma from Norway for their annual Christmas vacation. Since they have been coming to this hotel for over 7 years, the manager gives them a special apartment. The family visits their room and is surprised because it is very elegant and offers beautiful scenery. Meanwhile, at the La Palma Geological Institute, scientists monitor the seismic activity in the area caused by the volcano. They also discover the wrecked boat and begin exploring what caused the disaster. A guest scientist named Marie realizes that her measuring equipment hasn't sent any data since yesterday and asks her colleague, Haukor, to identify the issue. The next morning, the duo heads to the equipment to examine it physically. After a walk in the mountains, they reach the transmitter, which looks fine, so they go inside the cave to check the equipment. However, Marie is confused to see water running down the walls of the cave because it was completely dry the last time she was there. Even more troubling, they find dead bats on the floor and realize that the carbon dioxide level is very high. Then they find the equipment smashed under a rock that fell after a crack appeared on the roof of the cave wall. After that, they quickly head to their boss, Alvaro, to share this information. Marie tells him the crack wasn't there a week ago. They report all their findings, but Alvaro tells them to find more tangible evidence because such occurrences are common in volcanic areas. Later, Haukor and Marie continue their investigation and learn that a volcanic eruption in 1949 caused a crack several kilometers long. They also discover that, 20 years ago, scientists predicted a massive eruption would slide the mountain into the sea, causing a tsunami. Marie wants to inform the public, but Haukor reminds her that 3 years ago, Alvaro warned the public about a possible tsunami that never happened, which caused chaos in the community and nearly cost him his job. He insists Alvaro won't alert the public again unless they find stronger evidence. Next, Alvaro receives the autopsy results of the people who died on the boat. The doctor tells him that their lungs were filled with carbon dioxide and sulfur from a gas eruption. Meanwhile, Sarah goes out to hang out with her new friend Charlie, but suddenly her brother Tobias disappears. After searching for him with her father Frederick, they find him near the shore. However, they are shocked to see all the turtles moving away from the island, suggesting an upcoming danger. Next, Marie studies the samples she took from the cave and realizes their suspicion might be correct. There will be a volcanic eruption. The next day, Marie and Haukor go up the mountains to explore further. There they discover that the crack in the cave is part of a large crack on top of the mountain, which is directly above the crack from 1949. Meanwhile, Frederick notices the hotel manager flirting with his wife, Jennifer, so he becomes rude to him. However, Jennifer tells him the manager is just being friendly, and they end up arguing. Later, Frederick feels a small tremor while having a drink on the balcony. Next, the scientists at the institute receive a reading that gas emissions are escaping from the volcano and a level 5 earthquake is imminent. Alvaro tells his team to call the civil guard to warn them. Then he gets a call from Marie, who tells him about the crack she discovered. Alvaro warns her to leave the area immediately because of the gas. Just then, gas begins bursting out of the cracks, and the duo runs. They encounter a group of hikers, and Marie shows them a trick to cover their faces with cloth soaked in water. But on the way, Marie gets separated in the mist and falls to the ground unconscious. The next morning, Marie wakes up in a hospital and learns that Haukor is in an induced coma after being heavily poisoned, but the hikers are dead. Marie tells Alvaro they should warn the world because the tsunami could affect multiple continents. However, Alvaro is still afraid of the consequences of being wrong and asks for more proof. Marie tells him she was in a tsunami before, which killed her parents, and says they would still be alive if they had been warned earlier. Next, Alvaro and Marie go to the mayor to warn her, but she doesn't take them seriously. They share the evidence they found, but the mayor refuses to cause panic in the public. Third, they agree to hold a meeting with government officials to decide what to do. Meanwhile, Frederick and Jennifer have another argument after Jennifer learns about Tobias's earlier disappearance. Sarah overhears them from her bedroom. Jennifer then goes to the bathroom for a break, and Sarah leaves the house crying without anyone noticing. Then Marie talks with her brother Eric, who is a deep diver, and tells him to return home immediately, mentioning his messy life. When he refuses, she warns him there might be a tsunami. Eric leaves very angry, thinking she is just using the tsunami as an excuse to get him to leave. Next, Sarah calls her uncle Jens, who works at Norway's Foreign Affairs Ministry, and asks him for money so she can go to Madrid. He tells her he needs to speak with Jennifer first, but she hangs up on him. Jens then calls Jennifer, but she doesn't answer because she is meditating. Meanwhile, Sarah manages to get on the plane, but receives a text from Charlie, who tells her she actually likes her. At the Institute, Alvaro learns that the volcano will erupt and release toxic ash into the air. He warns air traffic control to hold off any flights. After a few minutes, an ash eruption occurs while Frederick is in the pool with Tobias. However, Sarah's plane has already taken off, and one of the engines burns as it enters the ash cloud. Soon, Jennifer calls Jens and realizes Sarah is on the plane. She runs to Frederick to inform him, but the plane crashes right in front of them. The survivors are taken to the hospital, and Frederick and Jennifer rush there. They see a blonde girl being operated on, but cannot tell if she is Sarah. Later, Alvaro's team attends a digital meeting with government officials, who are too stubborn to start an evacuation, because they believe this is just an ash explosion and that evacuation could also risk human lives. However, Alvaro convinces them to take action. He then tells his team to leave La Palma on a boat to Tenerife, as he has decided to stay and monitor the changes. Meanwhile, Marie heads home to find her brother, but he is not there and his phone is not working. At the hospital, Jennifer and Frederick are informed that Sarah is not among those brought in, and she is missing. Heartbroken, they return to the apartment crying, but are shocked to see Sarah there with Tobias. The family rejoices in their reunion and spends time together. Later, Sarah meets Charlie and tells her she got off the plane after reading her text. The two girls share a romantic kiss. Next, Marie receives a call from Eric and finds him being arrested. She intervenes, explaining that he needs his medicine, and accidentally hits the policeman. As a result, Marie is taken to the station instead of Eric. Meanwhile, Jens receives a call in the middle of the night and is summoned to an urgent meeting. At the office, they see a simulation showing the mountain sliding into the ocean, causing a massive tsunami that would devastate coastal cities in La Palma. In the morning, Eric visits Marie in prison and realizes the tsunami threat is real. He tells her he won't leave her there and that they will leave together. Meanwhile, Sarah tells her mother about Charlie, and Jennifer assures her that she supports her no matter what she chooses in life. Soon, the whole family goes for a swim to enjoy their vacation and create happy memories. However, Jens calls Jennifer and warns her about the tsunami, urging her to catch the last ferry to Tenerife. The family rushes to pack, and Frederick steals a car as the boat is about to leave. He quickly drives to the dock, and his family safely boards while he is caught by the car's owners, who beat him. Frederick gives them money and returns the car, but it's already too late, and the boat leaves without him. Sarah calls Charlie and briefs her about the tsunami, leaving Charlie confused before Sarah's phone dies. Volcanic activity near the mountain begins to spike, and Alvaro warns the officials that the entire town needs to be evacuated. Eric tries to convince the police to release Marie, but before he can, he hears a loud explosion. Meanwhile, Frederick boards another boat with the help of his hotel friend. As they are about to leave, the volcano erupts, causing a massive explosion. Watching a struggling woman with her baby, Frederick gives up his seat on the boat. Next, Halcor leaves the hospital and finds Alvaro drinking wine. Alvaro informs him that the mountain is moving as predicted and that the tsunami is imminent. He sends Halcor away, telling him to find a boat. Instead, Halcor brings a glass and joins Alvaro, saying there aren't enough boats in La Palma for everyone. The two decide to take one last field trip before they die. Next, Sarah calls Jens, asking him what to do. Jens contacts his boss, who angrily accuses him of prioritizing his family over his duty and sharing classified information. Meanwhile, a researcher arrives at the office, offering to use his expertise to find a safe spot in Tenerife for the tsunami. Although he is initially dismissed, Jens calls him back to the office for help. Then the police officer guarding Marie hears about the tsunami and leaves to evacuate, forgetting the keys behind. Eric uses them to free his sister. On their way out, they free another prisoner who takes the keys to release his friends. As Eric and Marie try to leave the island, they meet Frederick, who learns that Eric has a boat he left behind while skydiving. The trio finds the boat, but a prisoner armed with a gun appears and demands they hand it over. Eric fights him, but is shot and killed. Frederick then confronts the prisoner, and after a struggle, drowns him underwater. However, the prisoner's friends come running, forcing Frederick to grab Marie and escape on the boat. Next, the researcher suggests a safe spot in Tenerife, and Jens runs to inform his boss. However, his boss insists they can't risk recommending the spot in case it gets hit after the ministry endorses it. Meanwhile, Frederick and Marie head toward Tenerife by boat, while Jennifer and the kids are at the airport getting wristbands for clearance. Sarah notices Charlie in a line and rushes to get her, while Jennifer and Tobias board the plane. Sarah finds Charlie and gives her Frederick's wristband to get her on the plane. Meanwhile, Alvaro and Haukur explore the volcano in their protective suits. The crack they once saw has become a massive opening that continues to expand. They take off their helmets and admire the beautiful yet terrifying scenery while drinking their wine. Soon a huge landslide begins, and they fall to their deaths. Next, Frederick and Marie reach Tenerife and watch in horror as the landslide creates a massive wave heading toward the island. Jennifer and Tobias get off the plane to find Sarah and Charlie. Meanwhile, Jens's boss is about to hold a press conference, but it is canceled after news of the landslide. Jens uses the opportunity to address the media, revealing the tsunami and sharing the safe spot's coordinates. However, he is dragged away by security. Thanks to him, the information spreads quickly, and Frederick learns about the safe spot. He heads there by boat. At the same time, Sarah and Charlie board the plane, believing Jennifer and Tobias are already on it. The tsunami approaches and Sarah calls Jennifer, only to find out they are not on the plane. Just then, Charlie receives a text with the safe spot's coordinates, which Sarah forwards to her mother. Tobias, being a map enthusiast, quickly identifies the location, and they head there with the last airport employee, who claims to know the place. The man takes a few others in his van, and they drive as the wave comes closer. Meanwhile, the plane tries to take off, but the ground cracks beneath it, making takeoff impossible. The wave hits the plane, shattering windows as water floods the interior. Next, the group in the van abandons it and runs toward the safe spot. Frederick and Marie are also in danger as the wave gets dangerously close. Frederick steers the boat into a space between two enormous hills, and the waves crash behind them, narrowly missing disaster. They eventually reach the safe spot and find a group of survivors. When the airport group arrives, Frederick is thrilled to reunite with his family, but quickly notices someone is missing. The wave recedes from the plane, and Sarah wakes up, shocked to find herself alive. She discovers Charlie unconscious and works with a woman to perform CPR until Charlie regains consciousness. After a brief reunion, they leave the wrecked plane and see the airport completely destroyed. Later, it is revealed that many coastal cities in West Africa and Southern Europe have been destroyed, with hundreds of buildings collapsed and thousands of lives lost. Meanwhile, Americans brace for impact as helicopters are dispatched to search for survivors. In Norway, Jens is visited by a co-worker who tells him that a group of survivors has been found at the safe spot, including Jennifer. She tells him he is a hero for helping save hundreds of lives. Meanwhile, Sarah arrives at the safe spot by helicopter and runs to hug her brother. After some time, Marie goes diving with turtles, reflecting on the memory of her brother. The end. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.